On the endless sea, only a small island adds a different color to this monotonous picture. Blowing the hot wind with the special smell of the ocean, looking at the sun that will set in a few hours, Chu He's heart was dead silent. I don't know how long I can live. Sitting on the beach with his hands on his knees, what came out of his mouth was a small hoarse voice that even he could not hear. There were a few messy coconut shells scattered around. This was Chu He's food for the past 2 days. He was on a very small island. As long as he stood on the sand dunes in the island, he could see the whole island. Except for a few scattered coconut trees on the island, there were only a few pieces of poisonous. The sun scorched the grass to death, and there was nothing else alive. He relied on the fruits of these coconut trees and managed to survive for 2 days, but the last coconut was consumed by him against the scorching sun half an hour ago. Was not clean. Thinking of the excitement when he just crossed over yesterday, He couldn't help but put on a self-deprecating smile on his face. That's right, time travel is such a noble term. For He, who was sick in his 2nd year, it was a very sacred term. When he first crossed over, looking at the sea he had never seen before, He couldn't help but sang aloud, "The strong sea breeze is blowing gently, the waves are blooming." However, he was dumbfounded next time, and he said that the superpower murmured? Artifact rumbling? Grandpa murmurs? System murmur? It's okay to give a dangling identity background. Actually, being so immortal is the most pitiful meatware, and it has passed through the saying that parents are unhappy about their body and skin. It's useless to hold this body without going through the 2nd door, staying at home every day, and even struggling to climb the 10th floor. After a comprehensive examination, He found that his body had only been fine-tuned. That's right, it's really a fine-tuning. The age has been lowered by a few years. Originally, it was only considered a handsome appearance, but it was also optimized to be handsome. Other than that, there is nothing else. To be thrown on such a deserted island, it's okay to give some jungler knowledge. Why optimize your appearance? Can you eat it? As a standard otaku, He knows nothing about survival skills in the wild. Even if he watched the whole show of the man at the top of the food chain, he didn't remember anything. I can't drill wood to make fire, and I can't even fish. Even those few coconuts were won by the skills I learned when I was a child. With no ability or magic, He reassured himself that maybe this was going through history. As a liberal arts student with good grades, he should be able to survive even without special abilities. I wanted to go into the water to see if I could touch 2 small fish, but after a few days, I should be able to wait for the merchant ship to pick up my protagonist, but a strange fish jumped out of the sea, instantly dispelling He's idea. It was an ugly and huge fish that he had never seen before. This is not Earth anymore. He died from heat during the day, and died from cold at night. He was so hungry that his chest was on his back, and he couldn't even drink some water to fill his stomach. This was really worse than death, and there was no hope at all. He thought about dying, but he couldn't make up his mind. That's what? Some floating objects on the sea were drifting towards the island along the current. He couldn't see what it was because he was so hungry and dizzy. I hope it's food. He moved his heavy steps and slowly leaned towards the beach. If it is food that floats here, he will be able to do it for a while. If it is an artifact, maybe he can be sure that this is near the flight route, and he will have a chance to survive. That's people. When the floating object got closer, he finally saw what was floating. It was a pile of broken wooden boards. At the middle point, there was a person floating on the sea. This person was floating on the water with his back to the sky. Already dead. After waiting for some more time, he didn't go into the water until the man got close to the shore, and dragged him ashore with great effort. Because of his exhaustion, he just dragged the person to the beach to prevent him from being washed back into the sea by the sea. With the only remaining strength to turn the person over, he fell directly to the ground, opened his mouth wide, and sucked in air, providing oxygen to the overloaded lungs. When the tiredness of his body eased a little, Chu-hee raised his eyes and began to observe the person, or the corpse, that he had just picked up. That's right, as expected, this person is already dead. Although there are many scars on his body, the long knife wound on his chest should have caused his death. Not good. Looking at the corpse, Chu-hee's brows could not help frowning slightly. I thought this was the person who fell into the water in a shipwreck, so when the rescuers searched, they should be able to be rescued. Who knows that this is the person who died in the battle, and seeing that many scars on his body are scarred, he should often participate in the battle. The world is not peaceful, and most of the rescuers will not come to search and rescue. Chu-hee's heart that had just started to warm up instantly cooled down. Fortunately, he didn't have much hope at the beginning, otherwise he would be hit hard. Let's see what's useful. Enduring the tumbling stomach, Chu-hee carefully searched for the things he needed on the corpse. This is a gold coin. After almost stripping off the corpse's shirt, Chu-hee found a necklace with a gold coin tied around the corpse's neck. If in the original world, Chu-hee picked up a gold coin like this, Chu-hee would definitely check whether the gold coin was real gold or an antique. However, for him now, even if this gold coin is worth $1 million, it is not as useful as a ham or a lighter. But no matter what, it can be considered as finding something. Put it away first, in case it is useful later. However, Chu-hee's hand just touched the gold coin when 2 lines of words suddenly appeared in his mind. Gold coins are detected, do you recharge? Whether is this a plugin? Chu-hee was slightly taken aback, but he consciously chose the option yes in his mind. The gold coins in his hand disappeared instantly, and the words in his mind were also broken. With the cool light and shadow colors, several golden characters were reformed. Create happiness with your heart. Right below these words, there is a penguin wearing a red scarf jumping around happily. Before Chu-hee could blurt out the words stuck in his throat, the picture immediately flashed, and a picture that Chu-hee was very familiar with came into his mind. That was the last scene before Kyu-hee crossed over. The 10 characters of disconnected cities and weak warriors were neatly arranged there. The only difference was that the words interrupted network connection were missing. The 6 words interrupted network connection are also old friends to Chu-hee, who has played in the disconnected city for 5 years. Every time it appears, he can confirm it with a normal heart, and then restart the game. Even if I came across these 6 words, I just smiled bitterly, counted the female relatives of Mr. Penguin in his heart, and saved the screenshots for future discussions on the internet. It's a pity that Chu-hee, who had abandoned the pit for 3 years, has lost nothing of the mood he had cultivated in the past 5 years. He originally just wanted to enter the game on a whim, but when he came across these words on the character selection interface, Chu was very angry. He punched the computer table, knocking over the Coke on the table. He got up to take a piece of paper and tried to dry the water on the table, but the Coke on the ground slipped onto the bed and kicked the damaged plug with his bare right foot. Bored, when he woke up again, he was already on this island. Looking at this thing that harmed him through time travel, Chu-hee didn't know whether he should cry or laugh. After cleaning up his mood, Chu-hee once again turned his attention to the interface in his mind. The first one was Chu-hee's own daughter Summoner. This was the first character Chu-hee started to play, and it was also the main character that he played. The equipment on his body was made with time and effort, and the weapons were also at that time. The best, plus 12 Fairy Tale Forest, must buy every festival gift package, even the sky has 2 sets. Although I don't know what the current system's mechanism is, Chu-hee's first choice is definitely her. No need to think about it, Chu-hee immediately chose this role in his heart. The game character conflicts with the player template and cannot be loaded, please select another character. Chu-hee's smile froze on his face. He thought that he could summon the character or get the character's abilities and equipment, but who knew something went wrong? System, what does conflict mean, why can't you choose? Chu-hee's question didn't get a reply. Chu-hee, who didn't believe in evil, chose again, but he got the same reply. It seems that this system has no artificial intelligence. He had no other choice but to choose another role, but whether it was Colo, Mendeo or creating these characters that took a lot of thought, the answer he got was that sentence. The character conflicts with the player template and cannot be loaded, please select another character. He, who had some ideas in his heart, tried the remaining female characters again, and got the same result. It is estimated that female characters cannot be chosen. The so-called template conflict should be because he is a male, and the chosen roles are caused by females. This is good news for he. Since he wants to load the characters on himself, he must not summon the characters, but put their abilities directly on him. Although there will be fewer beautiful women to accompany, but compared to being protected, it is much more reassuring to have the power in your own hands. Needless to say, the first choice is definitely Bing Xiao. From the very beginning, the male magician has two skills, teleportation and resurrection, which are good things to save life. No matter what, life is the most important thing. Character loading. Failed to load, the character information conflicts with the current world, try to force loading. The character information is destroyed, the character is lost, please choose another character. Fantasy is full, reality is backbone. With the disappearance of Bing's character screen, the smile on He's face solidified again. Fuck, and number UN percent number UN. The unbearable scolding instantly popped out of He's mouth. Without the mood of careful consideration, He casually chose the first of the two remaining roles. This time, the system didn't get windy anymore, and it was even surprisingly fast. There were no words like loading or waiting. The screen turned black and bright, and a familiar image that had not been seen for many years appeared in He's mind. Hello. The familiar words in my memory sounded in my mind, as if they were echoing in my ears, but the sound was different from the impression. Although it has been said for a few years, He has almost forgotten what Celia's voice is like, but at least he still remembers that it was the voice of a cute girl, but now it is a lowly male voice. Damn, this is it. Standing in the middle of the hotel, it wasn't the smiling cute girl Celia, but the penguin with a mean smile. The red scarf around her neck was so distinctive. Congratulations to the player who successfully recharged for the first time and got a penguin gift box *1. Welcome the adventurer back and get the returned warrior pack *1. The player is in a weak state, consumes 1 gold coin, and removes the player's debuff. Dear users, in order to bring a better game experience to the warriors and further strengthen the security of the game, we will maintain the game after 3 seconds. The whole maintenance process is expected to take 12 hours. The maintenance content is to adapt to the rules of this world. Hope all warriors prepare in advance to avoid unnecessary losses. One network connection lost, the image in his mind disappeared instantly, and He's attention was kicked out. Is this an attitude towards respected users? He had a black line on his face, but his attention was immediately attracted by his outfit. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com. The original set of home men's pajamas that were wet and dry became a set of purple robes, and a scarf was also wrapped around the neck at some point. The half-dead body is full of vitality as if it has been reborn, and even the 2 exposed arms have a little muscle feeling, which is impossible for an otaku who basically does not exercise, but there is no sense of emptiness in the abdomen. Disappear. I'm so hungry, why don't you get rid of this feeling? By the way, this is also a kind of debuff. He rubbed his roaring stomach. Although he was complaining in his mouth, he was very grateful for the timely appearance of the system. No one is really willing to die. If there is a chance, they all want to survive, and the timely appearance of the system gives him hope of living. There was a set of numbers that were constantly changing in his mind. It was the number that counted down for system maintenance. 12 hours was not long. For He, who had recovered his strength and even became stronger, it was still affordable. Now, first of all, There is another issue to consider. How to use the role he chose. The two ranked at the end of Chu He's 10 roles were a rooster and Jiro, and the one he chose was the rooster in front of him, that is, the male mechanic. Judging from these two roles, I was quite satisfied with He the cock, at least he was handsome enough. However, this account was the trumpet he practiced to open jars in the past. The job was randomly selected for one transfer, and the level was brought up by the large double opening. He never clicked the skills twice, let alone to understand this profession. There is only one image of the rooster, and that is to play the summoning machine. Moreover, after so many years of not playing this game, coupled with this system update and revision, He felt that most of the time he could only explore slowly from the beginning. I don't know if there is anything else. He rummaged through himself, only 2 or 3 pieces of clothes, and it was finished in a minute or two, but he didn't find anything else on him. There is nothing else other than that the suit during the time travel has become the awakening costume of the mechanic. Although the mechanic is summoned in the skin of a sharpshooter, holding a gun is not very useful, but it can be used as a decoration. As a sharpshooter, I don't even have a gun, so I can't justify it. As if hearing He's complaint, a Lopixel mosaic appeared in his hand, and the mosaic gradually became clear, turning into a worn-out pistol. Gently tightening his right hand holding the gun, the touch of his skin told He that the gun was not a phantom. It can still be like this, can it disappear again? The pistol in He's hand quickly turned back into a mosaic as if it had been dismantled, and then disappeared into the air. Then reappear. Repeating the scene just now, the pistol appeared in He's hand again. It seems to be faster, I don't know if it will work. The pistol is one piece, and the magazine part cannot be opened, just like a model gun. Following the way he saw others shooting on TV before, He raised his pistol with one hand, aimed at a coconut tree on the dune, and pulled the trigger lightly. Boom! A weak fire flashed through the muzzle of the gun, and a gunshot came from his ear. He was stunned, and quickly ran to the target coconut tree. Running to the tree, He searched carefully, but did not find any bullet holes. Is this a toy gun with only sound and light effects? Turning the gun upside down and looking at the muzzle, He was a little puzzled. When he shot the gun, he didn't feel any recoil. The gun was very similar to the gunpowder revolver he played with when he was a child. When looking at the pistol, He's out-of light inadvertently glanced at another coconut tree a meter away next to him. There was a newly opened hole on it. Opening his mouth, He put his little finger into the tree hole, but did not feel the presence of the bullet. Looking at the gun in his hand, He fired another shot at the tree trunk in front of him. The gunshot rang, and a larger tree hole appeared where the muzzle pointed, but there were also no bullets in it. I should be the sharpest marksman in history. Laughing at himself, He pointed the muzzle down slightly, pointed at the sand not far away, and pressed the trigger a dozen times in a row. Every time the trigger is pulled, there will be a crisp gunshot, and the sand will be knocked off a little. It looks like this is a pistol that can be used as a machine gun. Why doesn't there exist a magazine? Because it doesn't need it at all, this is a pistol with unlimited bullets. Exactly. Anyway, the bullets are infinite. If you shoot a few more shots into the sea, you might be able to hit 2 fish, and you can also practice your marksmanship by the way. Although the mechanic's gun is just a decoration, He only has this gun now, so he still needs to practice. Unconsciously, the sun had already touched the sea level, and the dark clouds in the distant sky were also blown over by the growing sea breeze. If you don't make preparations early, He will be able to experience the wind and the sun, hunger and cold all over again. Shib? Hey, I'm here. Looking at the gradually growing shadow of the boat to the west, He danced with excitement. However, when he glanced at the corpse by the sea, his fiery heart calmed down again, and it might not be easy for him to be rescued. Tightening the gun in his hand, He felt a lot more at ease. He didn't shout anymore, because the boat was heading straight towards the island where he was at the beginning. There was nothing attractive about this island. The boat should have come to avoid the coming storm. After all, this is just a small wooden boat. Although Chu-hee is too far away to estimate the size of the boat, it is really just a small boat on the vast sea. Sure enough, things didn't go well. On the mast of the ship, there was a black flag with a pale skull painted on it. Below the skull were two interlaced white bones, and the bones were covered with spiders. In the original world, such flags also existed, and such flags were usually hung on pirate ships. Although ships with such flags are not necessarily pirate ships in this world, they are not of a good kind either. Chu Heben wanted to find a place to hide before the boat docked, but this deserted island had nowhere to hide, so he could only stand there and wait for the arrival of the boat. I hope the technology in this world is relatively backward, this gun can handle it. Chu-hee's marksmanship is not good, but the bullets are infinite. As long as the opponent does not have long-range weapons, even if there is a conflict, they should be able to protect themselves. Thinking of this, Chu-hee took a few steps back. Such a distance, waiting for the people on the boat to land, can not only have a less laborious conversation, but also have enough time to react in the event of a conflict. The waiting time was always extraordinarily long. When Chu-hee was adjusting his mentality, the boat docked. "Captain, there are people on the island. There are actually people on this small island. Did that boat float over just now?" "It doesn't look like it, but the one lying on the shore looks like the one on the previous boat." "The wind is blowing again, so what are you doing? Hurry up and put away the sails, what should you do, and the rest will get off the boat with me. It's really a bad visitor." Although I don't know why they are clearly not talking about the celestial language, but I can understand it, but now is not the time to care about this. Just listening to this conversation, I know that this group of people are not good people. Chu-hee took a few steps back again. A group of people jumped off the boat, and Chu-hee was a little stunned. At a height of 7 or 8 meters, these people jumped off without blinking. What's even more ridiculous is the appearance of these people. The height is uneven, and the shape is strange. At first glance, they don't look like good people, and they all carry knives in their hands. Especially the one at the front, wearing a cloak studded with gems, with shiny gold rings on all 10 fingers, and a cigar in his mouth, feeling quite good about himself. The corners of his mouth almost broke the neck. The exposed skin was covered with thick black hairs, and those who didn't know it thought it was an orangutan. It turned out that Chu-hee still felt that he was just a handsome guy. Compared with these people, he was simply a scumbag. "Don't come here, who are you?" He raised the gun in his hand and pointed it at the person who was clearly taking the lead. Chu-hee was a little nervous and threatened, but what he got was the roar of laughter from everyone. "Ha ha ha! In this place in the West Sea, there are still people who don't know me, Daniel the Tarantula. It seems that I need to increase the bounty. The captain's reputation is already big enough, but this kid is so ignorant that he dares to threaten our tarantula pirate group, so I will execute the quick sword machi." A bamboo pole with a long knife came out from behind the orangutan and walked towards Chu-hee. "You guys, don't come here, this is a gun in my hand." Chu-hee's warning was fruitless, the gun was pointed at the thin man, and he pulled the trigger. The bamboo pole raised the long knife to block, but the bullet flew right by the bamboo pole, fell into the crowd, and hit the sand. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and then there was a louder laugh. Before Chu-hee fired the second time, the bamboo pole kicked hard and disappeared from Chu-hee's field of vision. A strong sense of crisis enveloped Chu-hee's whole body, and he retreated like a conditioned reflex. In front of him, with a wave of the long knife in his hand, a long wound appeared on Chu-hee's chest. Fresh blood sprayed out from the wound, and a severe pain came. Chu-hee, who had never experienced such a thing before, fainted in pain and fell to the ground. The gun in his grip also fell to the ground, shattered into pieces, and disappeared. A coincidence? The thin man frowned slightly as he looked at Chu He lying on the sand. Chu He looked seriously injured, but because his body leaned back in time, the wound was actually not very deep, and there would be no danger to his life in a short time. Of course, if you let the blood flow like this, it probably won't last long. The thin man didn't think much, he adjusted the direction of the long knife and stabbed it towards Chu He's heart. And many more. The tip of the knife stopped firmly in front of Chu He's chest, and it was only a short while before it could break open Chu He's skin and pierce his heart. The thin man didn't hesitate to put the knife into the sheath, and turned to look at his captain, because the word wait was exactly what his captain Daniel said. Daniel walked slowly to Chu He's side, crouched down, and patted Chu He's pale face due to blood loss. This kid looks good. He scanned Chu He carefully from head to toe, as if to confirm something. The smile on Daniel's face was even better, and the brilliance of seeing the prey burst out in his eyes. If there is a rotten girl at the scene, she will definitely scream. This is the CP of the greasy uncle and the handsome boy. Unfortunately, the entire tarantula pirates knew that Daniel was really just looking at the prey. Daniel stood up and turned to look at the men behind him. Come and bring this kid to the boat and let Theo wrap it up. After a pause, Daniel added another sentence, as if he was afraid that his subordinates would not be able to do things well. This kid is a capable person and can sell for a lot of money. Let Theo pay attention. That's right, in addition to robbery, the tarantula pirates are also engaged in buying and selling people. In their eyes, there are only two kinds of people, one is goods that can make money, and the other is worthless and can only be killed. Waste. Mudge led the team to search the island to see if there were any other people. For the rest, set up tents and party all night tonight. He just robbed a merchant ship, and now he has picked up such a large fortune, how could Daniel be unhappy? Anyway, the wine and meat for the banquet were contributed by the previous ship. Even the pirates cheered and worked harder. Where is this? Difficulty opening his eyes and looking at the wooden ceiling, Chu He's brain was in chaos due to insufficient blood supply, and it took a long time to remember what happened before the coma. Am I being rescued or have I crossed again? Chu He pursed his chapped lips, and Chu He wanted to sit up, but the severe pain in his chest prevented him from moving further, and reminded him that it should still be the original world. The door opened suddenly, and Chu He quickly closed his eyes, pretending to be in a coma. Damn, a slave needs to be taken care of by Lao Tzu, and Lao Tzu is not treated like this when he is injured. If you can sell it for money, the captain will definitely eat and drink for you. This kid is also dead. He was slashed in the chest by Ma Chi and still survived. It's also because he was lucky. If it wasn't for some medicine on the ship that he robbed earlier, he would have died long ago. Don't worry about it, change his medicine quickly, so that he can go out for a drink. It's gone if it's too late. I mean, hurry up. After changing Chu He's medicine, the two of them poured some broth and ran out. After confirming that the two had left, Chu He opened his eyes, coughed violently, and took a long time to recover. It looks like he was captured. Fortunately, it's better than death. Chu He wasn't sure if he had the luck to wear it again. It's always good to survive. However, after being hungry for 3 days, he drank some broth, and he was injured and lost too much blood. Now Chu He doesn't even have the strength to raise his hand. Even if he wasn't tied up, he couldn't do anything. Now, we can only pin our hopes on that somewhat unreliable system. I looked at the time in my mind. Fortunately, because I was in a coma for a long time, there was only half an hour left in the countdown. Midnight hello. Familiar hotels, familiar penguins, and familiar voices reappeared in Chu He's mind after 12 hours. The blood volume in the lower left corner was less than half, and it was rising at an almost invisible speed. The debuff of serious injury was hung on the status bar. There was no hint about what system was updated this time. It seemed that Chu He needed to find out by himself. First of all, he opened his backpack. He was very poor. There was only a worn-out white pistol in the equipment column. This was the initial equipment of the sharpshooter. It seems that this is to reset everything to 0, and even the level is only the initial one. There is no equipment, consumables, etc. on the backpack, only the word backpack is left, and there are 2 items in it, a returned warrior gift bag, and a penguin gift box. Opened the skill bar, but Chu-hee, who was only level 1, didn't have any active skills to choose from. Fortunately, several passive skills were already lit. Sharpshooter weapon proficiency, all shooting weapons can be used to increase attack accuracy. Heart of the machine, summons a permanent helper robot that is immune to all damage. UU reading www.uuganshu.com, not obtained. Mechanics cloth armor specialization, when equipped with cloth armor, various attributes are additionally improved. It seems that Chu-hee, a sharpshooter, can't stand the marksmanship of the system. He actually gave him a passive skill that increases his hit rate. In the current situation, this skill is still very practical. What's wrong with not getting it? Looking at the 3 words UNGA and behind the heart of machines, Chu-hee nodded like a conditioned reflex. The screen jumped quickly, and the familiar shopping mall interface appeared in my mind. Auxiliary robot servant of marbles sells for 10,000 gold coins. After glancing at the wallet where he only had 1 change, Chu-hee immediately closed the mall, and didn't even look at other items in the store, lest it hurt when he wanted to buy it but couldn't afford it. Damn it, really buckled. Skills can't be counted on here. Chu-hee can only hope that the 2 boxes he sent will give some strength. Open the returned warrior gift bag and get 2 items. The title of Return of the Brave 1, and the Fighting Puppet 3, this has not changed much. Wearing the title of Return of the Brave casually, the panel attributes almost doubled, but the weak Chu-hee didn't feel much. On the contrary, it was the fighting doll that was presented, which might be the key to escape. If not weakened, this is a pretty good helper, but unfortunately it only exists for 15 minutes. It's okay to play games and brush pictures for only 15 minutes, but in reality, only 15 minutes is a bit short. He opened the penguin gift box and got a Sirius blessing gift box and 2 bottles of Sirius teleportation potion. Teleportation medicine, I don't know if it can directly teleport me to a safe place. Chu-hee chose Celia's teleportation potion, and the number 2 on the potion icon disappeared. Chu-hee was not teleported, but there was something in his hand, which was the bottle of teleportation potion. She was startled, afraid that someone would suddenly come in and see it. Chu-hee hurriedly thought about taking it back, and the potion was indeed taken back into her backpack. Not knowing how to use it, Chu-hee had to read the introduction of the system. The potion containing the magic of space has lost its original function for some reason. It turns out that it can't be used at all. Come to think of it, there is no hotel in Celia in this world, so there is no way to locate the teleportation potion. Even if it can be used, it will be miserable if it is teleported to the bottom of the sea or underground. Looking away from the useless teleportation medicine, Chu-hee looked at the most anticipated box in the disconnected city, Celia's blessing gift box. In the drop city, almost all the good things were stuffed into gift boxes, pets, sky sets, enhancement rolls. Although Chu-hee didn't know what the box could open in his hand, it was definitely good things. You have obtained, Resurrection Coin, Shining Remy's Kiss 5, Girl's Foot Attack 5. If you open these 3 things in a gift box in the game, it will be a big loss. If you open such a thing in several boxes, it is definitely the first level of the chief, but in reality, it is different, especially in the game before. The resurrection coins are even more precious than artifacts in the real world. Chu-hee looked at the introduction of the 3 items and found that the effects of the 2 potions did not change, but the resurrection coins had changed. Resist a fatal damage and restore a certain amount of HP and MP. The weakening is not too big. Although this resurrection coin can also save a life, just like a cat with 9 lives will be run over by a 10-car train, Chu-hee who has the resurrection coin will also be killed by a multi-stage attack. This "a certain amount" is also a very ambiguous word. The recovery of a drop of blood is also a certain amount, and the recovery of half is also a certain amount. He didn't dare to go to the test. After all, this was to resist fatal injuries, and it was to try with his life. He's blood volume is now about half, but his magic power is full. The girl's foot attack is to restore blood and magic power together, which is a bit wasteful. It is more appropriate to use Remy's kiss. He also wanted to try it out to see if the effect of the shining Remy's kiss to remove the abnormal state could touch the debuff of the serious injury. After choosing the shining kiss of Remy, the potion instantly appeared in He's hand, and he was still in a state of being bound. The speechless He could only withdraw the potion first, take out the gun, adjust the muzzle and shoot to break the rope. Then he quickly fired 3 shots in a row, freeing his hands and feet. The gunshots were loud, and the pirates would soon find them when they heard the sound, and he had to pay close attention to every second. Swapping the gun to his left hand, He's right hand took out the shining kiss of Remy and drank it again. A strange feeling filled He's body. With the surge of blood, the serious injury was relieved, the pain in his chest disappeared, and his strength was basically restored. He quickly removed the gauze on his chest, where it had recovered as before, not even a trace of injury was left. He is very satisfied with this effect. Although scars are the metal of manhood, it is best to leave no scars as much as possible. Boom, boom. The door was suddenly knocked open, a pirate rushed in, He raised his hand and shot 3 times. With the sound of gunshots falling, the pirate fell to the ground with a scream. The wound on his chest was like an open water pipe, and it seemed that he would not live long. Still need to practice. He pursed his lips and shook his head gently. Although the accuracy has been improved, but his own foundation is too poor, he fired 3 shots in a hurry and hit 1 shot. Looking at his unfulfilled health bar, he gave up his plan to take out another bottle of medicine. Now it is still about 20% away from full blood, and it would be a waste to use a 30% blood bottle, and the recovery speed of blood after the serious injury effect is lifted is not bad. Standing up, he had a doll model in his hand, which was one of the reasons why he didn't plan to drink any more medicine. With fighting dolls, it should be enough to deal with them. If the fighting puppets don't change much, or are mostly weakened, it's more than enough to deal with this group of pirates on board. He threw out the fighting doll, and the shining doll instantly became bigger, becoming a life-size only slightly shorter than He. Before He could observe carefully, more pirates rushed in. The puppet stood on the spot and quickly released skills. First, 2 orange-yellow light appeared beside her and revolved around her, and then a gentle wind entwined He, making people feel that their weight had dropped a little out of thin air. The translucent mask spread out from the puppet and disappeared. The speed of the doll was very fast. After the preparations were completed, the fastest pirate just ran to the front. She unceremoniously punched out, and a white tiger head-shaped light wave emanated from the fist, blocking everything along the road. Breakdown. UU reading www.uuganshu.com. The pirate standing at the front had the best luck. Although he was directly blown into pieces, he died easily. Those who ran behind him either had their hands or feet broken, and those who lost half of their bodies were lying on the ground waiting to die. Looking at this purgatory-like scene on Earth, he vomited directly, but after being hungry for 3 days, he could only spit out some sour water. Then what? Let's be civilized. He suggested to the puppet, but the puppet did not respond at all. Continue to smash the living pirate with a small fist. As long as it hits this fist, there will definitely be a blood hole in the pirate, and 7 or 8 pirates will be solved in less than 10 seconds. Leaving blood and corpses all over the place, the puppet jumped out from the opening on the wall, and He, who commanded the puppet, could only follow. The puppet that jumped on the deck was immediately surrounded by pirates. The Skinny March and the other battle captain directly raised their swords to meet the puppet. Captain Daniel stood not far away, watching, and had no plans to shoot. Damn, those who dare to kill Lao Tzu, you too, don't kill her, I will torture her to death. Daniel didn't care where this person came from. He didn't care if his crew member died. The reason why he wanted to save her was just because she was beautiful. However, the development of things was beyond the pirate's imagination. As soon as March and the puppet came into contact, she was knocked out by her punch, and the puppet punched the other battle captain with a backhand. This scene happened to be seen by Chu He, who had just walked out. Everyone was so shocked that they couldn't make a sound. Chu He originally thought that although the puppets were easy to deal with this group of pirates, they had to fight 2 moves with people like Ma Chi. Who knew that under the puppets, these pirates were all the same? To deal with this group of pirates, spending a fighting puppet is a complete waste. The pirates were dumbfounded, but the puppets didn't, and continued at their own pace. The pirates didn't react until the puppet exploded the 2 people who were close to each other, and began to run to the side of the boat, preparing to jump into the sea to survive. Although there is a possibility of encountering a sea king and jumping into the sea, there is still a chance to stay on the ship, only to wait for death. At this time, the puppet also changed its attack method. Niang Kai wave was placed without money, and no pirate could jump into the sea alive. Daniel also wanted to escape, but after eating the devil fruit, he was cast aside by the ocean and could only resist desperately. Using the tarantula fruit ability, Daniel's hands and feet turned into 8 long spider legs. These legs were highly poisonous, and the place where the deck and the spider legs contacted quickly rotted. After cleaning up the miscellaneous soldiers, the puppet gave Daniel a psychic wave, and Daniel pressed his 8 feet together, dodging to the side, dodging the frontal attack of the psychic wave, but it was still a little slow, and 2 feet were broken. Knowing that a frontal attack wouldn't work, Daniel could only think of another way. He happened to see Chu He, who was still standing on the boathouse. Look at my poison needle attack. Daniel raised his 4 feet, 3 of them shot poison needles at Chu He, the other foot shot poison needles at the puppet, and he rushed towards the puppet. Although Daniel doesn't know what the relationship between the doll and Chu He is, his guess is definitely not ordinary. With Chu He's weak-footed shrimp-like strength, he would definitely not be able to stop the poisonous needle. However, the puppet didn't even look at Chu He, and rushed towards Daniel. A roar of dragons and tigers was released, and Daniel was directly smashed into pieces and fell on the deck. Looking at the 3 holes with black smoke on the wooden wall beside him, Chu He swallowed. Fortunately, the chanting mask was still hanging in the sky. The deck was full of blood and minced meat, and not a single corpse was complete. Chu He was clearly just protecting himself. Killing these pirates was a good thing, but after seeing such a scene, even he himself felt that he was not. What a nice guy! Let's see if there are any fish that slip through the net first. It didn't take much time to clean up a boat of pirates. While the puppets still had a few minutes to live, Chu He quickly looked for any pirates hiding on the boat, otherwise it would be bad to be attacked when the puppet time came. The ship is not big, and the top of the deck is basically flattened by the dolls, and only the cabin remains to be searched. Chu He quickly turned over several cabins, and finally finished the work before the doll disappeared. There are indeed no living people on the ship, and even if there are living people, they would have jumped into the sea long ago. With no worries, Chu He began to sort out his spoils with peace of mind. In the cabin, Chu He found a lot of gold and silver jewelry, but he did not rush to recharge, but collected them all. He also found that things that are not systems can also be put into the backpack, but unfortunately the backpack is too low to hold many things, so he can only carry it all up to the ship's building. Chu He carefully scoured the entire boat inside and out, just like Joe peeled off the skin. Of course, Chu He was more disciplined, and he didn't move the jewelry in the pile of broken corpses. When searching the ship building, Chu He also found a very new newspaper and a stack of wanted notices. When Daniel was transformed, Chu He had doubts, but the wanted order made him sure that he came to the world of pirates. In the original world, He liked watching One Piece, but it didn't mean that he wanted to live in the One Piece world. It was a world where one's life was like a must, and without enough strength, one couldn't live in this world. Just like the name, pirates are the main color of this world. Although there are adventurers with the name of pirates like the protagonist Luffy, most of them are robbers who do all kinds of evil. Even the world government and navy that advertised justice are not good birds. In this world, one's own strength is the most important thing. Even if Chuhi is in the system, he would not dare to be careless. After all, there are countless magical devil fruits in this world. In this stack of wanted notices, Chuhi also found the one of Daniel, Tarantula Daniel, a tarantula fruit-capable person with a reward of 22 million Baileys. He is considered a relatively powerful pirate in the Four Seas, but unfortunately he met as soon as it appeared, there were fighting dolls of level 60, and they became fragments when they met each other. This very new newspaper allows Chuhi to determine the time of the plot. The newspaper is in the year 1512 of the Haiwan calendar, and the headline is that the king of Kaiwahaden Quixote da Flamingo becomes the king of Dressrosa. Although I can't remember exactly which year Luffy went to sea, Chuhi remembers that Mingo's occupation of the kingdom was about 10 years before the second part, that is, 8 years before Luffy went to sea, and Chuhi still has about 8 years of development time. When Luffy goes out to sea, the world will enter an eventful season. Before that, he must gain enough power to ensure that he can survive in the era of riotous demons. After clearing his thoughts, Chuhi looked at the pile of treasures in front of him. There are many treasures, mostly gold coins and gold ornaments, but also a small amount of jewelry and paper money. When did Chuhi see so much gold? In the era of paper money, the biggest gold he has ever seen is the gold bar in the bank exhibition. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com. He really wanted to lie down and sleep in this pile of jewels, but unfortunately, in order to improve his strength, he could only take these treasures to Krypton. How can he become stronger without paying money? Only when he becomes stronger can he get more treasures. He can only comfort himself like this. Reaching out and touching a gold coin, the dialog box of asking appeared again. Gold coins are detected, do you recharge? Whether Chuhi decisively chose yes. Successful recharge, get 28,217 gold coins, detect gold, convert it into equivalent gold coins, charge 20% handling fee, get 18,140 gold coins. The accumulative recharge exceeds 10,000 gold coins, and you will get a penguin gift box *1. If you recharge more than 10,000 gold coins at one time, you will get a cloth armor inheritance pocket jar, LV 1525, *1. Complete the daily task *1, please claim the reward in time. Mappo's servant was successfully purchased, costing 10,000 gold coins. Hearing the previous prompt, Chuhi nodded slightly. When the last prompt came out, Chuhi immediately realized that something was wrong and quickly opened his backpack. Sure enough, only 36,357 gold coins were left. It's a fool, it's a strong buy and a strong sell. The assistant robot had already stopped on Chuhi's shoulder, and it was too late to say anything now. At this time, Chuhi discovered that he had a lot of cans in his backpack. In addition to the cloth armor jar and penguin gift box just sent by the recharge system, there were about 20 white pocket jars and 3 blue pocket jars. And a pink pocket jar. After checking the system prompt, Chuhi found out that every time the puppet kills a person, in addition to gaining experience, he can also get a pocket jar. The pink pocket jar is the last one to get. In addition, Daniel also contributed 400 points of gold coupons. The experience contributed by a boatload of people has made Chuhi successfully promoted to the 12th level, and almost reached the 13th level. Among them, Daniel alone has contributed more than 100,000 experience, which is 3 times that of the rest of the people combined. Everything is estimated to be the credit of the devil fruit. With the increase in level, Kaiuhi's blood bar has long been full, and all aspects of the attributes have improved, but he can't use it flexibly. He tentatively opened a white pocket jar, and got a level 10 ordinary ring. He put it on easily. Then he opened all the remaining pocket jars. Except for the pink pocket jar, which cost 1000 gold coins to open, the inheritance pocket jar and the blue pocket jar are the same as the white pocket jar, and they are free. The white pocket can only open normal equipment or nothing, the blue pocket can open enhanced equipment or ordinary equipment, the inheritance pocket can open a level 15 heritage cloth armor, and the pink pocket can open an artifact. Since there is only one jar in the pink pocket jar, I don't know if the artifact will definitely be opened. It was a 20th level artifact. He also opened it many times when playing games. Although the weapon level is low, it is very popular and the price is very high. Every time you open it, you can earn a small amount pen. The name of this artifact is called the Blade of the Splitting Mind. He was not happy with this low-level weapon that he used to like most, because it was a great sword, and it was useless for him as a mechanic to hold it. In such a situation, I really don't know whether to say that his skin is white or skin-colored. Black. Turning his attention to the outside world, he pinched his aching temples. The assistant robot was flapping its pure golden wings and spinning happily around him. Like a burning golden flame, it looks very charming. This is not just a rigid robot. He can feel that he has an inexplicable connection with the auxiliary robot. When he orders it in his heart, it will give feedback and act like a pet. He liked the appearance of the assistant robot very much. It was much better looking than the original Marble's servant. He suddenly felt that the 10,000 gold coins he spent were quite worth it. As for whether carrying such a pet will scare others, he said that there is no pressure. Look at the Straw Hats and everyone with a pet that can only talk. It is not surprising that the world of One Piece does not lack these strange creatures. You will be called Xiaojin from now on. He, who was named as a hard worker, named it directly based on the appearance of the auxiliary robot. He stretched out his hands, and the assistant robot Xiaojin gently parked in his palm, gently swept He's hand with its tail, and could feel that it was very happy to have a name. Gently stroked Xiaojin's head a few times, He put the paper money and jewelry left on the ground into his backpack. The gold in the main body of the jewelry had been recharged, and the remaining gems and agate didn't add up to much weight. In addition to the banknotes that had no weight in the first place, Kaihui's backpack could still afford it. When the depression in his heart was almost gone, He looked at his backpack again, put on all the equipment that could be worn, gathered half of the blue sky and white clouds, and He opened the skill bar. The skills that can be added before level 12 have been lit up, but it is still level 0. The skill points needed to add skills are still 0. The somewhat confused He tentatively clicked on the first skill, Precision Strike. Whether to spend 1000 gold coins to learn Precision Strike. Whether after a pause, He chose yes. A memory from nowhere entered He's mind, and he instantly mastered the skill of Precision Strike. Fire a precise and powerful bullet at the enemy. Active use of this skill will consume a small amount of magic power to strengthen the bullet, and a small amount of magic power will spread out, allowing He to lock on the enemy and choose the best attack route. However, the Leave Lone skill enhancement is limited. If you want to strengthen it, you can only spend money to upgrade the skill. He ordered it a little more. Whether to spend 2000 gold coins to learn Precision Strike. Whether you want money. After thinking about it, He chose no. There is too little money in hand, and I don't know where to use it, so it's better to save it. There are pros and cons to upgrading skills into spending money. The advantage is that you don't need to calculate skill points anymore. As long as you have money, you can learn all the skills. The disadvantage is that you spend money. Now the money is too little, all skills can be ordered first. However, when he clicked on the third skill, he received a prompt that the conditions were insufficient. After searching carefully, He found a condition introduction smaller than a fly in the lower right corner of the skill introduction. Gold coin 1000, space 1, iron ingot *1 except for the gold coin, which is bright white, the other two are grey. Iron ingot is good to say, after all, it is building a robot. Although he can't understand the system's inability to create something out of nothing, he can't understand what space means at all. Where is the taskbar? Reading www.yuyugonshu.com. He felt that he was going crazy, the game experience was extremely poor, and this system was completely anti-human. If this was playing games, he would probably have abandoned the pit long ago. There are so many games, why bother with him, but now he has no choice. Acura. A loud noise came from outside the house, interrupting Chuhi's thoughts. As soon as he walked to the door, the breeze blew, and a strange stench poured into Chuhi's nose, causing him to retire immediately. The scorching sun is already hanging high in the sky, the blood on the deck has been dried, and the stench is emanating from the pirate's body. A group of seabirds are enjoying this unexpected lunch. The whole scene is like a thriller. Generally. Obviously standing under the scorching sun, Chuhi felt his hands and feet were cold and creepy. He swallowed hard and forcibly stopped the urge to vomit. He quickly ran into the cabin. Chuhi quickly ran to the warehouse where food and fresh water were stored, filled his backpack, thought about it, and took a few bottles of spirits. Run up to the deck, uncork the bottle, and pour all the spirits on the deck. Lowering the boat hanging by the side of the boat, Chuhi picked up the torches that had been prepared and was still on the deck where the spirits were poured. Seeing that the deck had been set on fire, Chuhi fell onto the boat along the rope, shot to break the rope connected to the boat, picked up the oars and rowed hard. Boom! Not long after rowing, there was a violent explosion from the pirate ship. The severely damaged pirate ship could no longer support it and began to disintegrate and sink. Seeing that the boat did not leave any traces, Chuhi nodded reassuringly, picked up the oars and rowed harder. Taking advantage of the good weather, he has to quickly find a merchant ship or an inhabited island. The man who rewrote history began his journey. The trading island of Veneto is the most prosperous island in the West Sea. In fact, this island is not very big, but it is at the intersection of several major island routes for raw material production. In addition, the island has the largest diamond mine in the West Sea, and the economy develops naturally. Because of the prosperity of the economy, it is also the second largest naval military branch in the West China Sea, second only to the Grand Island at the mouth of the great shipping route of the West China Sea. The economy is prosperous and safe enough, which naturally attracts more people to come, and of course the price also rises. For those small caravans who want to trade but are afraid of spending money, Sig's Island, which is a half-day flight away from this island, has become a good choice. The residents of Sig's Island are very happy these days, because Veneto's annual spring fair is about to start, which is a good time to make money only twice a year. Of course, such a good time must be accompanied by the participation of pirates. Since it is not far from Veneto, few pirates dare to make trouble here. In order to save troops, there are not many troops stationed by the navy in Sigs. However, there are always exceptions, and the Sharphorn pirates are now docked on an uninhabited island next to Sigs Island. A small wooden boat slowly approached the Sharphorn pirates. The pirates that had been prepared on the pirate boat quickly dropped the rope and pulled the small wooden boat up. Before the small wooden boat was parked, the pirates on the small wooden boat quickly climbed onto the big boat and ran into the captain's room to report their work. Captain! Running to the captain's room, the pirate immediately stood up straight, looked at the person in front of him without squinting, with an extremely respectful attitude. Originally, he was looking at the drawings on the table attentively, but he was suddenly interrupted. Captain John raised his eyebrows, and a hint of dissatisfaction appeared on his face. When he saw the person coming, he immediately turned to a smile. "Oh, Dylan is back, how's the investigation going?" "The situation is true. The naval chief who was stationed on Sig's Island has been promoted. The new chief is still on Veneto Island. He will not take office until the end of the spring trade fair. Now there is only one admiral on the island. Really? Jay and the others have helped a lot. How about those caravans? I didn't find the existence of a large caravan, and I didn't see many guards on the island. Having said that, Dylan suddenly stopped. John, who was thinking, heard Dylan suddenly stop reporting, looked up at him, and saw that he was hesitant to speak. Just say anything, don't talk to mother-in-law or mother-in-law. That, Captain. I think those caravans sell basically special products and daily necessities. Even if they rob our ships, they can't be loaded. It takes a lot of time to carry them, and it's a hassle to shoot. Although a single caravan has few guards, but it will also pose a threat to us, and this operation is likely to outweigh the gains. Well, it's normal for you to think this way. However, our operation this time is not to rob these caravans, but a naval base. What, robbing a naval base? Dylan was stunned and froze there. Yes, as far as I know, there is a nautical chart of the Great Route and several information books in the naval branch on the island. The West Sea is too small to hold me. You are willing to go with me to the Great Route? Dylan swears to follow the captain to the death. Very good, you go and inform them that we will start the operation when it gets dark, and these caravans are going to buy diamonds in Veneto. If time is enough, you can grab these caravans at will. Yes. Dylan responded excitedly and walked out of the captain's room. He wanted to mobilize the other pirates quickly. The weak can't go to the Great Route, just take advantage of this battle to clean up the personnel. Dylan, don't let me down. Looking at Dylan's leaving back, John whispered to himself. The pirates on the boat were having a pre-war revelry, and they didn't even notice that on the beach not far from the boat, a dark figure emerged from the sea. Sombra carefully chose the blind spot of the pirate ship's line of sight, slowly climbed to the bushes on the shore, and found a hidden place. This thing needs to be improved. He Ying took off the version 3.0 disposable diving mask on his face, revealing a handsome face. It was Chu He who had been in this world for more than 3 months. 3 months was enough for Chu He to master the system, and he even had time to practice his poor marksmanship. In order to make money by leveling up, he chose a promising career in this world, a bounty hunter. After more than 3 months of unremitting efforts, he finally broke through the 20th level, and now he has risen to the 21st level. The Sharphorn Pirates was his target this time. Throwing away the mask, Chu He began to change his diving suit, which was nothing but waterproof. Anyway, it's the things to be eliminated, just throw them away, and keep them in the backpack to take up space. He felt no pressure on possible environmental pollution or damage to flowers and plants. He took out 2 bottles of magic juice that restored his magic power and poured it into his mouth directly and aggressively. Now Chu He has no spare time to taste the delicious juice. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Looking up at the sky, looking at the sun that was about to set, Chu He nodded lightly. The time is just right. Xiaojin, with a snap of his fingers, the assistant robot Jin appeared beside him, circled around Chu He, and stopped in front of Chu He, as if acting like a spoiled child. Sorry to bother you. Chu He stretched out his hand, caught Xiaojin in midair, touched its head, and then gently threw it away. Xiaojin circled He again, and then, under the cover of the setting sun, flew to the beach between the pirate ship and He. Seeing that Xiaojin reached the target position, Chu He immediately started to use his skills, the RX-78 Chaser, also known as the Little Robot. Xiaojin's head cracked open, and he opened a big mouth that didn't fit his body. Every 5 seconds, a small robot with a height of 30 centimeters would spit out of it and burrow into the nearby sand. Originally, these little robots would explode within half a minute at most, and could only be used in battle. Since Chu He learned mechanical improvement, the little robots have become a good tool for layout. Mechanical improvement, increase consumption, improve and optimize various attributes of machinery. This skill is controllable for the improvement and optimization of machinery. It can be strengthened in all directions, or you can choose to strengthen only one aspect. Of course, the more aspects you choose to strengthen, the lower the degree of strengthening. This is the only skill that Chu-He can fill up, and he plans to fill it up as his level rises in the future. The EZ-8 self-destructor that Chu-He dived and placed on the bottom of the pirate ship only strengthened his existence time. And the little robot was strengthened by him for its existence time and power. After loading the silver bullets and grenades, recalling Xiaojin, and taking out the Gatling machine gun from the space, the preparations are done, and then you only need to wait for the cooling time of the Gatling machine gun to end. Mechanical detonation. A violent explosion sounded from the bottom of the pirate boat. The wooden boat, which could not bear such a strong impact, began to fall apart. Chu-He was stunned. He just wanted to blow up the ship into an irreparable hole so that the pirates could be forced down, but he ignored that the self-destructing robot had a bonus to damage to buildings. Fuck. He didn't want to blow up the ship, just to collect the spoils at that time. If I had known this, it would have been better to put in a few more self-destructing robots, so that the pirate group could reduce the number of people a little more. It's useless to think so much now, it's better to kill these pirates early, and then go to the sea to salvage the spoils in the sea. Chu-He picked up the Grim machine gun and fired at the pirates who climbed ashore from the sea. All 100 bullets were fired in less than half a minute, and the hit rate was quite impressive. After firing the bullet, the machine gun in Chu-He's hand shattered instantly and disappeared. Chu-He was not surprised, and took out a machine gun from the space and quickly shot empty bullets. With such a loud gunshot and fire effect, the surviving pirates quickly determined the direction of the enemy. When did their Sharphorn pirates experience such a suffocating battle, and before they could face off against their opponents, most of their own people died, and they all killed Chu-He with red eyes. The leader of the pirates is John, who is at the forefront. He is a person who has eaten devil fruit. Although it is only the most common animal fruit, it can strengthen his physical fitness, even if he is not transformed. In this state, he is also the most powerful being in the pirates. The ship suddenly fell apart, and John, who didn't respond in time, fell directly into the sea. He was almost drowned by the ocean, but several captains picked him up from the sea in time. It was because of the delay in this matter that several battle captains escaped Chu-He's 2 rounds of cleaning, and all the main combat forces on the ship survived. As long as the attackers are killed in time, the Sharphorn pirates will not lose too much and can quickly recover. Going ashore to relieve his breath, John, who was extremely furious, chased the leading troops and led the team to charge towards Chu-He. Soon John stepped into the minefield that Chu-He had arranged for a long time. John's action was somewhat beyond Chu-He's budget. He was too far away from the group of pirates behind him. After thinking about it, Chu-He did not unexploded little robot under the sand. Precision strike. Chu-He stood up, raised the heritage revolver that had been in use for half a month, and launched a long-prepared attack on John. Relying on the tempering of infinite bullets, Chu-He's marksmanship has not been as good as it used to be. With a precise strike, although he dare not say that the gun will hit the head, he can also hit the body. John also felt the threat of Chu-He's blow. If he was hit like this, serious injuries would be inevitable. And he is rushing too fast now, it is difficult to change his direction to dodge. Of course, he has not considered dodging. When the Devil Fruit ability was activated, John's right hand instantly turned into a fluffy animal leg, and he lifted his front leg to face the bullet in the air. I wonder if John was lucky. The bullet only hit the hoof and knocked off a piece of scrap. For John, this kind of injury is not even a scratch. At this moment, John's legs also turned into hooves, his speed increased suddenly, and he was only a few steps away from Chu-He in an instant. Looking at John, who was about to reach him, Chu-He didn't dodge or attack, and said softly with a confident smile. Aim and detonate. The little robot under the beach rushed out of the beach and stuck to the side of the pirates, causing a violent explosion. The pirates who had just set foot in the minefield directly ended their journey of life, and only 3 or 2 kittens survived. The sound of the explosion caught John's attention, and when he saw the result, his eyes instantly became bloodshot, and his body all turned into a human beast form. When he looked at Chu-hee again, he had turned into a manating gaze. "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to crush your bones one by one." Although he also wanted to clean up his own pirate group, it was to wash away the weak and leave the strong as the backbone. When the time comes, if he recruits some strong ones, the pirate group will naturally become stronger. Chu-hee is directly destroying all his years of hard work. Such hatred is deeper than digging at his family's ancestral grave. The muscles of his arms bulged, and John angrily threw a broken stone at Chu-hee, but no matter how powerful the attack was, a miss wouldn't help. Chu-hee, who had been prepared for a long time, jumped back directly, dodging John's attack, and left a self-destructing robot in place by the way. John's punch just fell into the robot. The destroyed robot flashed fire and exploded in an instant. Several small robots rushed out of the soil, adding material to the explosion. After squatting in that place for so long, it was impossible for Chu-hee to just wait for John to attack. He had already made arrangements. Life is hard. The prompt to gain experience did not appear, indicating that John was not killed just like that, but the sand and dust caused by the explosion blocked Chu-hee's sight, and he could only step back. A black shadow suddenly rushed out of the sand and dust. Yuyuganshu www.yuyuganshu.com hit Chu-hee. He was knocked out and didn't stop until he hit a big tree 20 meters away. The impact directly deducted nearly half of his blood. Chu-hee shook his dizzy head, and quickly got up and jumped onto the tree trunk. Without the shelter of the sand and dust, the shadow also revealed his face. This was a giant rhino nearly 5 meters tall, with scars on its skin. The devil fruit that John ate should be in the form of a cow fruit rhinoceros. Chu-hee, who jumped to another tree in time, hurriedly grabbed the bottle of the girl's feet and slammed it out, pinching his nose and gulping it down, resisting the urge to vomit and swallowing the strange-smelling liquid. The giant rhino rammed like crazy, knocking down all the trees in a few strokes, leaving Chu-hee nowhere to hide. The normal attack of the revolver can't cause much damage to the thick-skinned rhino, and even if it hits the existing wound, it will be stuck outside the muscle. He summoned the G1 Corona robot, and instantly kicked the rhino's horn with a magical kick, raising the rhino's head. At this time, the Corona robot fired a cannonball very cooperatively and hit the rhinoceros head, causing the rhinoceros to fall into a state of rigidity. He took out the Gatling machine gun that had already cooled down and stuffed it into the rhino's mouth. "I've wanted to say this for a long time, Mai is already hungry and thirsty." Pulling the trigger, 100 bullets went straight through the rhino's head and rushed out from the back of the head. The lively rhino instantly lost its life, fell to the ground, and changed back to the shape of a man with an open head on the back. Taking a few deep breaths, Chu-hee calmed down his excited heart. Chu-hee took out the bag from his backpack, packed John's body into the backpack, and walked towards the fish that slipped through the net. Admiral Terence of the Sig's Island Naval Branch walked around the command room anxiously, waiting for news from Chu-hee. Chu-hee's performance in the past 2 months made him believe that Chu-hee does have a certain strength, but this time he has to deal with a big pirate with a bounty of 48 million baileys. Although this reward was raised because the Sharphorn pirates slaughtered the civilians of several islands, John's actual strength is only worth more than 30 million, but in the world, he is considered a big pirate. Most of the navy in the branch was sent out for reconnaissance by Terence, and only some henchmen stayed at the base with him. As long as there was news of the pirate landing, he could receive it in time, and he was on Sig's Island 4. Ships were prepared in all directions. As long as he found that the pirates had landed, he would immediately board the ship with his confidants and escape to Veneto to ask for support. As for why Chiu He didn't ask for the support of the Veneto Naval Division when Chiu He told him that the pirates were coming, it was because he was betting on a possibility. Report. Come in, how's it going? Mr. Kaiuhi is back. What, Mr. Kaiuhi has returned? The anxious Terence immediately became happy, but there was a trace of worry on his face. Chiu He came back too quickly, which made him unable to judge whether the crusade against the pirates had been successful. Running out of the command room, Terence saw Chiu He walking towards him, and immediately went up to meet him. Mr. Kaiuhi, I don't know what happened. Bending down slightly to look at Chiu He, whose head was lower than himself, Terence was afraid that a word would come out of his mouth. It's been done, let's go in detail and talk about it. Chiu He nodded and walked into the command room first. Entering the command room, without waiting for Terence to ask, Chiu He directly took out John's body from his backpack, which was still on the ground. This is the body of John, the captain of the Horned Pirates. Terence hurried forward and tore the bag over the corpse. He didn't dislike the blood on the corpse, and moved his face upright, revealing John's fairly intact face. In order to confirm, he took out the reward list that had been placed on the table for a long time, compared it carefully, and got the prepared answer. It's really Thug John, thank you so much, Mr. Chiu He. In Terence's eyes, the extremely powerful pirates were dealt with so quickly, and Chiu He didn't show any signs of injury except for his wet clothes. Chiu He's strength in his heart was raised again. You're welcome, Major. The bodies of the rest of the pirates are all on the deserted island next to them. You should send someone to clean them up, otherwise it may cause diseases. Okay, I'll call someone to deal with it immediately. Someone. Xiang Kaiuhi responded, and Terence hurriedly shouted towards the door. Major. Hurry up and arrange for someone to go to the nearby island, bring back all the pirate corpses with the bounty, and deal with the rest on the spot. Bring a few people to bring up the boxes in the cellar. Yes. The Navy took orders to leave, and by the way, resisted the corpse on the ground. I have to say that it is sad to be a younger brother, and even the corpse has to be carried. Mr. Kaiuhi, please sit down for a while, and the prepared things will be brought up immediately. Terence brewed 2 cups of tea, took a cup and carefully placed it on the coffee table next to Kaiuhi's seat, and then sat with him on the seat next to him. This man just touched the body and didn't wash his hands, but Chiu He didn't forget it, so he kept the tea beside him, and Chiu He didn't touch it. It didn't take long for a few navies to carry a few wooden boxes to the command room and put the boxes on the ground. Terence got up and opened the boxes one by one, revealing several large boxes full of gold coins. According to your request, I exchanged most of the previous bounty for gold coins, but the caravans on the island didn't have too many gold coins in the past few days, so there are still some baileys that have not been exchanged. Terence took a small box from his subordinates and opened it in front of Chiu He, revealing a full of banknotes. Thug John's bounty is too high, and I can't get that much money out of the base now. I plan to send someone to exchange it back to Veneto, just to exchange these notes for gold coins and bring them back to you. What do you think? Bending his waist, Terence carefully negotiated in front of Chiu He. In the past 2 months, Chiu He has already exchanged a lot of money with them. It was not a big branch at first, so the reserve fund was naturally not much, and some of the money was even paid by him. But Terence was not dissatisfied, and was even very happy, because he also profited a lot from it. He advances the money, and the credit for killing the pirates is naturally his. With the money from the branch to pay the bounty, he can also get part of the credit. Whoever makes the current branch the biggest. Don't be so troublesome, just give me these banknotes directly. This time, I will also give me a proof of the bounty, and I will go to Veneto to collect it myself. Mr. Chiu He is planning to leave. Well, this place has been around long enough, it's time to change it. Okay, UU reading www.uugonshu.com. I will issue a certificate for you right away. I don't know how long Mr. Kyuhi plans to stay in the Veneto plain, maybe we will see you again. Terence didn't procrastinate at all, just waved his hand and told his subordinates to hurry up. Issuing a bounty certificate is not a simple matter. In addition to presenting a formal certificate here, it is also necessary to take pictures of the pirate's body, and to notify the top of the process. Why, Major is also planning to go to Veneto. Well, I have already submitted my intention to the top. The achievements during this period are enough for me to be transferred to Veneto and to be promoted at least one level, thanks to Mr. Kyuhi. Everyone gets what they need. With this achievement and the previous ones, it should be enough for you to be promoted to chief. Chief has never considered guarding this island. I still have this self-knowledge. With my ability, I can only deal with some little pirates. For the safety of the people on this island, let a more capable chief guard it. I am afraid of death, and I have to pretend to think about the people. Of course, Kyuhi didn't bother to expose him. It's good to have self-knowledge, but I'm afraid like some people who don't have self-knowledge, they don't have enough strength to guard one side and try to seize that seat, and the civilians who finally get them are bullied by pirates and dare not care. Even together with pirates to oppress civilians and divide up the money. Although the Navy advertises justice, there are not a few people with justice in their hearts, but any organization will have some exceptions, not to mention that they are under the jurisdiction of the world government. The top of the world government is the Tianlong people. From the top, it is not a good thing. How can the institutions below be better? Kyuhi believes that he is not a good person, and people who need to kill and level up can't become a good person, but he really encounters this kind of thing, he will definitely take care of it, and he can add more experience to himself, right?